Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and we're going to take on a project today. We're going to do this in two videos. We're going to take on a project of how to make one good reel out of two. I have a Daiwa 2600C. This one is missing the bail complex. This one has a broken main gear. So I'll show you how to do that, but that's going to be the second video. To my surprise, as I started to go to my donor reel, I wanted to take a look to make sure that I had the main gear and the pinion gear in here and that it was in good shape so that I could transplant that to the other reel. And when I did that, it became the subject of this video. And this video is what's the proper amount of lubrication? And a lot of times what people have asked me along the way is, you know, how much grease should I put on a reel? And, you know, is there ever such a thing as too much of a good thing, right? And that's what I found when I took the 3 case screws off of this one. So to start with, I bought this reel as a parts reel from a swap meet. It wasn't that expensive. But one of the things you notice right away is I've got grease all on the top of the rotor here. Now there's almost no way in the world you should see grease up here. If anything, you would see a light oil on the shaft, which is right, but there's no way there. The other thing I'm noticing is the rotor is rocking back and forth. So I bought this one for the case. There's times where that reel foot breaks off, and this, for the price, I bought that. And then I also noticed when I was buying this as a parts reel, I wanted to spin it. It spins okay, and the main gear is turning, so it tells me that there's usable parts in here, which is why I purchased this thing when I did. But one of the things you'll notice as we turn this reel, you're not getting the anti-reverse clicking sound, so something's wrong there, and it's not very effective. Well, the answer is when you take off the case here, and that's why I wanted to do this video. So is there such a thing as too much or too little grease? So the number one failure when I find reels is that they haven't been lubricated good enough, and that's caused premature wear on the metal parts. This is the second cause. This is totally over greased. I'm almost certain that this is not a fishing reel grease, and this is a prime example of what happens when you use too much grease in a reel. So I always wear this protective glove. Many of you have seen that on some of the other videos I do, and it's just for this reason in particular. I don't know what's in that grease. I don't know what that grease is, and if I can keep that off my hands, I would like to do so. So let's just take a look at this. This thing has been flooded with grease. It looks like every available cavity in this reel, they stuff with grease. Whatever this grease is, it's got that licorice or that taffy kind of look to it that says automotive grease, like an axle grease. It's way too thick. What's happening here is as the reel turns, the shaft and the cross wind block is not completing its stroke because we have all of this gunk on the bottom here, and that's preventing it from going up and down the way it should. So that's obviously not a good thing. And then we're seeing the wear here, so we can see the metallic pieces and parts that have gathered. And this is the other point I make in saying too much grease is not good because it catches contaminants. And we can see that there. There's a fine silver, almost putty-like or mud-like gathering here. And that's probably from the side plate, but it could be anything that was in there in terms of sand or any of the other contaminants that can get into a reel like this. And there's no place for it to go. If you don't leave the room in there, it can't kind of fall off to the side. It's continually in the motion of the reel. When it gets into the motion of the reel, it just starts to erode the parts. So I was looking at the side plate here. Just put it to, and it looks like it might be scarring the side plate, and that's where that's coming from. It's probably also a melting effect, some of that grease just breaking down, and Lord knows how it got up here. So let's just do this one for fun. I do need this main gear, so I'm going to take that crosswind block out. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit more. There you go. That's why we wear that plastic glove. Just take a little bit more of that out so I can actually see what I'm working on here. But the answer, you know, the question always begs kind of one, how do you know you got too much? and I kind of say it's like salt in a cooking recipe. You may not know that you have too little. It may come out a little bit bland, but you certainly know when you have too much. It tastes, the salt just takes control of the meal. And it's kind of the same thing here with the reel lubrication. If your reel is sluggish after service, you probably put way too much on there. I'm scraping all of this down, and there's still too much in there. All right, so let's take this crosswind block off. Pull the shaft, get the main gear out. That's the pieces I'm looking for, is the main gear and the pinion gear. And we're going to take these off and put those in the other reel to make that successful, and we'll do that on the next video. But right now I just wanted to show you how damage occurs and how reels break because of too much lubrication. Okay, so we pulled that out of the crosswind block. Here's that the shaft, and you can see that there's just that tar on the shaft. Well, shafts you should oil. You shouldn't put the grease on there, just because it needs to move and it needs to have a certain freedom to it. Just going to pull that rotor just to see what we have underneath here. I also need to pull it because I'm going to grab that pinion gear. And as you notice, I'm putting these off into a parts tray. And I think we just found the reason why we don't hear that click, the operational click, is that we got so much grease on here now that it's just not working. There's a little, actually it looks like it broke the spring off of this one. The dog is gone. So that's what happened here. So there's multiple problems that was caused by that grease in this one. And I'm not here to correct this reel. Again, I bought it as a parts reel. This is the piece that I'm looking for. It's the main gear. Just going to check to make sure all the teeth are there. And again, we got mud on this side, and that's just the lubrication breaking down. Just not a good thing all around. And I'll clean this up for the next video where we go and take these pieces and go reinstall. But I just wanted to show you what happens when you overlube a reel. Okay, these teeth are good. So next time you see this gear, it'll be nice and clean and it'll be ready for install on the other one. But let's just look behind this again. I don't know what they did here. I don't even know how possible it is to get all of this grease in here. But my recommendation is do not follow in these people's footsteps, whoever did this thing, because it's caused havoc on the reel and it's caused the reel to fail. So that's preachy enough. I don't need to spend your precious time just going through a whole bunch of cleaning as examples. So what is enough? Enough is a general light coating on the reel. It's to make sure that the metal parts are protected. It's to make sure that there's enough lubrication that it spins easily. And we'll show you on the next video when I do this substitution of this main gear just what enough is. But you can tell from this that somebody got grease happy, and at the end of the day it caused the reel to fail as opposed to making it last a whole lot longer. So with that, I hope you learned something out of this video. That's the whole idea of this. I've been servicing reels for over 20 years. I like to point out things along the way that are good practices, but from time to time I get an example of this that's just a bad practice, and sometimes you can learn from mistakes of others, and so that you don't repeat them going forward. So that's kind of the idea on this one. What's the problem with too much grease? It slows down the operation of the reel. In this case, mechanically, it did not allow the full stroke of the shaft, and in this case it trapped a lot of contaminants that resulted in kind of a muddy kind of a thing that was clearly the wear on from the side spool, the side plates, and where the main gear intersected with it, and it caused the reel to fail. So stay tuned for the second one, which is how to use the parts from this one to repair the other one, but also it will show you the proper amount of lubrication for the particular reel. With that, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, please like it. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe to my channel because I post frequently. Again, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you for watching.